A U.S. general who supposedly has a lot of information in regards to the UFO phenomenon has been missing since February 27th. And I believe that whatever's going on here, whether if it's not foul play due to just something that he's involved with, if it's actually foul play due to the government trying to silence him, that he knows something not about crafts that were built on another planet that fly here sometimes and go to people like Stephen Greer and Chris Bledsoe when they meditate, but that he has some sort of connection to actually the occult deception, the occult allegiance that the United States government is playing a part in with this phenomenon and everything else that's going on, that they're kind of have their hand involved with, when, as we've been learning way more of with the recent Epstein files, that many of them are involved in occult activities. So let's take a listen to a few of these videos of what's going on with this U.S. missing general. Again, maybe he had information on it. Not saying he's involved with this stuff. And this is just a complete, out there theory. But if it's because of this whole UFO thing, it's because he knows something about actually the occult nature of what's going on, not the fact that there's gray guys on other planets that are building aircraft and come and watching people when they go and meditate and stuff like that in the field. Obviously, that's a spiritual deception. So we'll get into some of these videos here.
The FBI is part of the search for a retired Air Force general in New Mexico. Authorities say 68-year-old William McCasland was last seen February 27th after leaving his Albuquerque home on foot and leaving his phone behind. During his career, he oversaw classified space weapons programs and was considered an expert on UFOs. The search for McCasland is spurred by concerns about unspecified medical issues. Clothing has been found near his home, but it's unclear if that's his. The FBI is...
The possibility, of course, does exist with this, that even another government or something along these lines, even private agencies, really advanced ones, could be looking to kidnap people to gain information in regards to this. But obviously, I don't believe that other foreign nations are trying to set up in America to destroy us with sleeper cells and agents and spies and stuff like that. But to start kidnapping U.S. generals and to try to extract information from them, that's pretty wild for that to actually possibly happen. Not out of the realm of impossibility, but I don't think that's what's going on here. Again, what I think is happening is, if this is in relation to his information about the UFO stuff, he knows something about the occult nature going on with all of this, because there is definitely an occult part, a nature of this. Everything, the entire nature of this whole phenomenon is rooted in the occult. What's up, Eric? And trust in Jesus. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff going on. So here, here's another video in relation. We'll watch 3 videos on this guy and then some stuff kind of, in my opinion, that leads to this, kind of exposing that how the government is involved with this type of evil thing that they're doing with this phenomenon.
Where is retired Air Force Major General William Neal McCasland? He's been missing since February 28th, and let's just say things are fishy. Here's the Post's senior reporter, Chris Nisi.
Retired Air Force Major and UFO expert General William Neal McCasland has been missing for more than a week after vanishing without a trace from his Albuquerque, New Mexico home. And an investigative journalist is warning that due to his expertise, his disappearance constitutes a grave national security threat, potentially. Local cops, as well as the FBI, have been asking the public's help in finding him as the search effort intensifies. But journalist Ross Colpart said on his Reality Check podcast this week that he has knowledge of some of the United States' most sensitive secrets, including deep knowledge about what the U.S. government might not be telling the public regarding extraterrestrials. The 68-year-old apparently left his house on foot on February 28th, leaving his phone behind, and hasn't been heard of or seen since. The Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office has issued a silver alert to help get his face out there in the hopes that it would lead to some tips. But so far, no major leads in the case have been reported so far. McCasland used to be head of research at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, where he oversaw classified space weapons programs.
The fact that he left his phone at home, maybe that's something that he does regularly. We'd have to know from the people who actually, know him. Who knows too what's actually going on in regards to this? Maybe he, there's a lot of tragedies that could have actually been involved with this, and the fact that he's missing is a tragedy. But my point in this whole thing is that we'll look at and to see that this phenomenon is definitely evil. And I think the reason the United States government has not fully disclosed exactly what is going on yet, and why they're still alluding to doing that, many people think Trump is going to be the one who's going to online betting markets that bet on what's going to happen in politics say that Trump is going to for sure disclose the whole alien thing, but they don't know how to disclose it yet because they can't control it because it's a spiritual phenomenon that some of them are engaging with. If it was just other guys on other planets who build aircrafts and then come here sometimes, that would be pretty easy for them to disclose. I mean, they've already completely disclosed this phenomenon to the public, and people don't even really care because there's something deeper going on, and everyone really, I think, intuitively knows that. And until more of that information comes on the scene, people are just going to be like, okay, yeah, there's things flying around. We know what it is. It's very obvious that there's a dark spiritual component to all of this. I mean, the only people who are actually getting legitimate, good, regular UFO videos are the people who are praying to these things and meditating to these things. Very clearly, a spiritual deception is going on in association with this whole phenomenon. And the government is trying to cover that up. The government doesn't know how to release that. Some people want information. It's super complex, but I think the people at the highest forms of government who know what's going on and are trying to initiate it and control it and do that type of stuff, they are actually trying to commune with these evil entities and trying to build some sort of relationship with them. We'll watch some videos on that here in a bit after this video, and one more in relation to this missing U.S. general. Again, I do pray and hope that he'll be found okay and that everything is actually okay with whatever's going on in his situation.
That base is famous for hosting fragments of extraterrestrial debris that is allegedly came from UFO hotspot Roswell, New Mexico. Cold Heart said it's no coincidence that McCasland's disappearance coincides with President Trump recently speaking about the government's knowledge about UFOs and the possibility of releasing previously classified information. And, you know, Cold Heart noted that McCasland was supportive of giving the public more information about those classified topics.
So we'll watch that video here. That's Ross Coulthart doing a lot of videos lately in regards to this whole disclosure thing, UFO thing, aliens thing. Of course, he takes the opinion that these things are from other planets. They build aircrafts and show up here. But again, the only people they're showing up to are guys who are praying to them. Obviously, that's a spiritual manifestation and a deception. Could not be more obvious. Yeah, I think they are trying to manufacture it. They're trying to manufacture it. And if it does play into end times deceptions, we're just not at the point yet where that happens. Again, this whole phenomenon could even go at the point where we're at now for years and years and years, where they're talking about the UFOs. They say we have these things, there's connections, there's U.S. hearings. Again, we've been having U.S. hearings and they've been giving us decent videos for what, over a year now, at least a couple years now at this point. And still, there's just nothing going on. It drags on and on and on. Probably because they play into the end times deception in one way or another. And it's just not time for them to be revealed yet because that part of the end times, we're not there yet. And so it's going to continue on. It could even go decades of this continue back and forth. Here's a video. Here's this. It's a non-human. Trump kind of disclosed it. Trump didn't. The next president's gonna blah, 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 blah. It could continue to do that, so on and so forth. It could go quicker than that, and it probably will. But we should just be on alert that that possibility does exist because it's kind of been going on. And it's more complex even than just these things are, they're gray guys are building these things and coming and watching people sometimes. No, it makes zero sense. And yeah, there could be a planned date that they have. And we're hearing little rumors that there is this planned date coming out that Trump is going to disclose. We'll see. A lot of that stuff happens all the time, comes and goes. We'll see exactly if that's it. But 100% it's a spiritual deception associated with it. And I'll continue to expose that and try to lead people to Jesus Christ, who's the only one who can deliver people from this deception. The only person, Jesus is the only one who has stopped alien abductions, stopped people having encounters with UFOs. The U.S. government can't. No one else can. Only Jesus is doing that. Proving Jesus is true and proving this is a spiritual deception.
If anyone knows the darkest secrets of the UAP legacy program, it is General Neil McCasland, Major General Neil McCasland. This guy is, honestly, he is one of the most important people in the US military establishment in terms of secret stealth programs. I was just going through it. He's held senior roles overseeing classified space weapons, advanced aerospace research programs, and he's basically, most recently, he served as the head of research at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which of course is notorious in UFO lore because that is where the alleged Roswell crash remnants, the remnants from the crash of allegedly 2 UFOs that collided, were taken in 1947. He was also the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory. He was the director of special programs in the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense. He was the director of Space Acquisition, Office of the Undersecretary of the Air Force. He has served, Major General Neil McCasland has served at the very highest levels of the US military, the US Air Force.
So there's the guy's background. So much of the stuff that he's been involved with, classified stuff, high-level weaponry, maybe even what's them trying to discern what's going on with this whole phenomenon. They've been tracking this thing for years.
If anyone knows,
they've known about it. They've known that this has been going on. They've probably been trying to figure it out, but they can't exactly figure it out on the base level. Then we start to get to the people in the higher levels. Do they know what's going on? Many of them do. Well, I mean, even Lou Elizondo said that up to him and told him to stop looking into this whole thing because they know that these things are evil. Multiple guys came out. The guy, John D'Souza, they call him the real life X-Files guy working on supernatural cases at the FBI. He says that these things are evil and they're demonic. They're not only demonic, but they're partially, some of the phenomenon is demonic, which we'll look into here, which makes me wonder if this guy is missing in relation to what he actually knew. It's not because he knew that there's guys building things on other planets. How many UFO videos do we have at this point, knowing that there's some anomalous thing happening in the sky? Endless. That's 100% proof. They're even showing it in UFO hearings of them shooting Hellfire missiles at these orbs floating over the ocean. We know there's something in the skies. What is it exactly? Are they from other planets? They're obviously not, because the only time they normally show up is when people are going out and doing spiritual practices or have some sort of spiritual door open to not to God, but to the other side of spirituality, to evil. Then these things show up. There's so many mountains of evidence that that's exactly what's going on. So again, it makes me wonder that if this guy did know a lot of stuff, and even if that's not in relation to it, again, I pray the guy's safe and I hope he gets home safely, whatever the circumstances are in regards to that. But for sure, the United States government is aware that there is a spiritual thing going on here. They for sure are. So what because when you hear all of it on the news, Ross Coulthart and all that stuff, it's all the time. They build these things, they do this, it's mechanical, it's from another planet, it's from a star system, all these nonsense lies. The truth of the matter is this is a spiritual phenomenon deceiving people, manifesting in our reality that could very well potentially be coming upon the earth. Fearful sights of men's hearts failing them from looking at the expectation of these things that are coming upon the earth, that type of thing. Many other prophecies point to this being maybe in relation to that. And that's really what all the evidence points to. Just like this here, I found this interesting. Demonic manifestations within people manifesting as a gray alien. Why would that happen? Why would that happen if it's not an evil manifestation?
I do know other exorcists where they would, in session, they would actually, once the demon manifested, they would manifest in literally looking like an alien with the eyes and the small mouth and the whole bit turning gray. And they even call themselves gray. And they try and lie to the exorcist by saying, oh, well, we're not angels, good angels, and we're not bad angels. We're not demons. We're kind of in the middle. We're neither good nor bad. No, dude, you're just a demon, right? Because when you start talking to them, it's all that is a diversionary tactic, which they do in the session. So just as we're seeing this play out itself on a grander scale in the world with the whole alien thing, they'll try and do that in session where they're just trying to distract you by something that they know that is not true, but they're hoping you'll believe it's true because then from there they can manipulate you. But I do know
that's some pretty interesting stuff. We may even listen to that back again and kind of piece it together because there's a lot within that in relation to why are grays manifesting in an exorcist session. Worth noting, this has been said a lot. I've pointed it out quite a few times. Take a look at this thing. What does this look like? You know, this is the drawing first off by this guy right here, Aleister Crowley. Called himself the beast himself, wanted to be the most evil person alive. His books are extremely evil, and the type of magic that he did and just everything, just completely part of the occult. Take a look at this thing that manifested in a session that he calls Lamb. I also find it interesting, LAM. Obviously, that's really even a mockery of the Lamb of God, in my opinion, too, right? Because that's Jesus Christ is the true Lamb, the true salvation, LAMB. And then this is what this thing called itself, LAM. Looks exactly like every single person who's ever seen an alien or had an alien abduction. It looks exactly like this thing. The most common alien, gray alien, is exactly what's manifesting to this dude, Aleister Crowley, when he's doing occult sessions. Is that a coincidence? 100% not. Let's listen back to a little bit more of this and just kind of piece together exactly what is going on. Continue to let me know, please, in the chat. Dave, I see that you say there's no audio. Let me know here. I think the stream might be coming back here. Sorry, I think it dropped out for a moment. So let's listen back here to this video, and we'll kind of piece together exactly what's being said here.
No other exorcists where they would, in session, they would actually, once the demon manifested, they would manifest in literally looking like an alien with the eyes and the small mouth and the whole bit.
A lot of people, when we look at these stories of exorcists all throughout history who have done exorcisms on people who are demonically possessed, have shown manifestations of the type of evil spirit or whatever that is manifesting or that is possessing them, then they manifest in the physical reality in many different ways. There's a ton of different explanations of things we can look at of evil forces manifesting in our physical reality. I mean, that's what paranormal researchers go and do. They try to record this stuff on audio, on video, or whatever, and they get it quite a bit. Because what are they doing? They're messing with this stuff, and it manifests. Say it a lot, but it's because Satan's prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to deceive. So when they go look for it, it shows up. Same with the aliens. And that's why, again, why would it manifest in an exorcist session with the demonic force? Satan's kingdom isn't divided, and these things are all connected. It's all an evil spiritual manifestation, or all a spiritual deception against humanity. The whole alien UFO thing, every single one. There's no good ones. They're all evil. They're all demonic, fallen, and other forms of evil of other forms of Satan's kingdom. Really, is what it comes down to.
Turning gray, and they even call themselves gray, and they try and lie to the exorcist by saying, "Oh, well, we're not angels, good angels, and we're not bad angels. We're not demons. We're kind of in the middle. We're neither good nor bad." No, dude, you're just a demon, right?
Interesting that this is the same exact thing that aliens do. Is the same exact thing that he described, that these people who are manifesting a gray alien within them during an exorcist session. That's the same thing that aliens always do when they start the people who say they have bad encounters with aliens is the same thing that people say when they have the good encounters with the good encounters, which is just a long con deception by the aliens to lead people down the wrong path. It's always them teaching humanity evolution. You're going to go to a higher form of consciousness. You need more crystals. You need to do ayahuasca. You need to go do a DMT thing down in the desert, somewhere, down in the Amazon. It's always teaching people occult knowledge, which is just any form of spirituality outside of Christianity. Christianity is the truth. Everything else is the occult. And that's what the aliens always teach. And that's exactly what this thing is doing. So the fact that the manifesting as a gray is saying the same thing that the aliens always tell people just goes to show you Satan's kingdom isn't divided. Same exact thing's going on here.
Because when you start talking to him, it's all that is a diversionary tactic, which they do in the sessions. So just as we're seeing this play out itself on a grander scale in the world with the whole alien thing, they'll try and do that in the session where they're just trying to distract you by something that they know that is not true, but they're hoping you'll believe it's true, because then from there they can manipulate you. But I do know.
So I want to hear that last part one more time.
That they know that is not true, but they're hoping in the world with the whole alien thing, they'll try and do that in the session where they're just trying to distract you by something that they know that is not true, but they're hoping you'll believe it's true, because then from there they can manipulate you.
So that's a good point, is that the demonically possessed people and the aliens, pretty much very, very similar things here. Again, same kingdom they're part of. They'll try to distract you with this evidence or this knowledge, this forbidden knowledge, like so many of the people who follow that stuff think. They think that that's what people are learning, and that's what they're teaching, and it's the same thing. It's to distract you away from the truth. Because what is like the majority of people? I mean, there's like a pretty small percentage of Christians who actually believe this whole like alien things are on from other planets and God made them, and for some reason God made them. Their only intention is to harm humanity, and He didn't mention to us at all that we're going to have these existential crises or attacks all over the place, or these things from off-world attacks all the time from other forces, and God didn't mention it in Genesis or anywhere else. Doesn't make any sense. What we do know is that Satan attacks humanity all the time because he doesn't like that we're made in his image, just like those things aren't. Again, and it just so much of this stuff is pointing to how this is a evil manifestation upon the earth. And this video I found very interesting. Again, tying it back to the whole government being involved at the highest levels, knowing that there is some sort of evil connection to this thing. Because again, they've got committees, they've got black, projects, programs, agencies, people who are working on this stuff who they don't even say it. So what are they coming down to? What kind of information are they getting to when they come down to it at the highest levels? Let's see, maybe this.
What we're seeing is that there is a carefully curated narrative by our federal government portions to say this is extraterrestrial, there's no there there. And then meanwhile, behind closed doors, a lot of these people are building altars to these entities, calling it extraterrestrial to sell t-shirts, to push the narrative, and then go perform rituals for them to incarnate.
You're talking about people in the government?
In the government. They know.
So it's pretty interesting because the exact narrative that for all the years prior, the government was saying doesn't exist, but was the mainstream narrative that, that all the people who were kind of into that whole, whatever, conspiracy aspect of the UFO alien thing were believing. Now the US government's coming out and, verifying and saying all of that is true. Yes. So they've been lying about this phenomenon for decades. And now they come out and say, oh, well, yeah, it's exactly what you guys had been believing. It's hidden stuff at Area 51. And there's the gray craft, the sports model. Bob Lazar saw it and all that. Just complete ridiculous stuff with no evidence. That's what they're starting to make people believe in these UFO hearings and stuff. And people are taking the bait and they're like, okay, yeah, the aliens, cool. Yeah, let's raid Area 51 because that's what's going on and all this stuff. They're taking the bait that the government is doing because really what's going on at the higher level is there's huge deceptions coming upon the earth with the end times deceptions and the end times attacks of all power signs and lying wonders by Satan's kingdom, trying to lead humanity astray in the final days. And so what's really going on and the deepest level is that they are connecting themselves to these forces because we know the kingdoms of the earth give their power over to the Antichrist when these days are upon us. And so that is really what it's building to. It's not building to, oh, yep, the Greys are here, that they're alive, they're out there, they're just really advanced, and that's just what they do. They build their little crafts and they come and hover over people when they pray to them. That's what they do. They just think that that's interesting. No, obviously not.
Know this. They know this. This is why Posuka has said things like this. Okay. Yes, we are aware of the whistleblowers giving testimony at congressional hearings. But there is another group of whistleblowers behind the scenes that are actually briefing people. And their model is much more esoteric, much more spiritual. And they realize that there is a profound occult connection between the phenomenon and what we're seeing.
I do believe that's what's going on. And again, I don't know if that's what's happened to this U.S. general, but I think it's worth at least mentioning that the people in the highest levels of government, some of them know, and some of the people who are really actually connected to this phenomenon and who are not just led astray by ridiculous claims and people who are lying and stuff like that, or people who think that they know what's going on when it couldn't be more obvious it's the other way around. They're missing these people. There's some people falling down that road, but what's actually going on at the highest levels or what's really going on with this phenomenon, and when you actually look into it, and which the only mountains of evidence, the only evidence that we have at all is that this phenomenon is spiritual. That's the only evidence. Jesus is stopping the UFO encounters. Jesus is stopping the alien abductions, or people are going out and they're praying into the sky, not to Jesus, and that they're encountering these things. The guys who say they controlled the egg UFO said they felt like the spirit of God, but it felt like it was a woman and it wasn't a man. Obviously, we know that's a complete lie. Why is there the spiritual connection? The only evidence that we have to any of this is that there is spiritual connections. And there's only two spiritual realms in existence influencing the earth, either Satan's or God's. So what does this fall under? Well, the evidence points completely and only to these things are evil. These are not doing anything for God's kingdom. They're only doing things for Satan's kingdom, which is why when you call on Jesus, follow him, live for him, surrender to him, and close the other spiritual doors, these things will leave you alone. So that's what's going on here. And that's what this phenomenon is. And so it's interesting. And so we got to be on alert to what is happening as this starts to unfold more and more, and we start to get more information. We cannot forget the absolute truth is that this is a spiritual phenomenon happening upon the earth. Thanks, guys, for stopping on the live stream. I hope and pray you're all doing well. Jesus is King.